Hey everybody, this is Carl back again for the final Christmas movie spoiler review for the month of December. And it's going to be one last Lifetime movie called Christian's Christmas Past. And it stars Sherry Appleby as Christian, Will Kemp as Jamie, Courtney Hengler as Sophia, Ben Whitehair as a co-worker, Hannah Marks as young Chris, Cham Chafari as Manny, Elizabeth Mitchell as Barbara, AJ Langer as Debbie, and Judd Nelson as Glenn. Now, this is a unique take. I mean, it's very rare when you come across a because clearly it's based off of, at least loosely based off of the Christmas Carol narrative, but it's very rare when you're just primarily focused on, which I typically personally hate, because if you're doing like a thing with a Christmas Carol thing, you go all the way with it. But when certain movies just focus on like one or two of like well, it's not like a ghost theme anyway, but it's clearly like, hey, you go into your past, but pretty much trying to learn some kind of lesson thing. But it just, I don't know, I personally feel like, hey, you want to do it, go all the way with it, don't half-ass it. But in this case, I did, kind of enjoy it. I'll mention certain parts that I dislike along the way. But Christian, 34-year-old woman who's who's doing okay for herself, but she got like, credit card, debt and stuff like that. Things ain't, she's trying to enjoy her Christmas Eve, because she has like a childhood friend named Jamie who spends Christmas with her every year, because she moved from LA to New York after she went off to college and stuff like that. Things didn't turn out so well between her and her mother, so Jamie, being her childhood friend, is the only person she had any kind of the only anchor to her past that she have any type of relationship with, which is kind of odd. You would think like after like college and leading them to her own adult life in New York, you haven't made any friends outside this dude. I mean, it's kind of odd, but I guess, you'll get your point across. So she is like, not like doesn't know what to do with herself, but it's just, she's a woman with regret. Essentially, a certain things she did, she kind of wish she just did not do. She's like, I wouldn't say she feels her life is in shambles, but it ain't the way she wanted to be. Jamie, this year, his girlfriend's, I don't know, it's like a model or something like that, pretty much like, very highfalutin type of chick, and she wanted to go spend Christmas with her family, and she wants Jamie to come with her, and she kind of got sick of Christian's mess that he kind of like keeps excuse me whenever Christian is like spiraling or whatever, she, I guess, needy, if you want to give it any type of a word, and she kind of sick of the mess, which is played kind of snobby, but in a certain way you can understand her point, because I was gonna say Jamie's, have simplest behavior where you'll see when I go along in the story. But I get to some extent. I kind of wish I didn't kind of play Sophia kind of like a snobby ass. But you can see a point where it's like you're supposed to be like with me, but every time this friend of yours, is in some kind of thing, you keep, no matter how minor, you keep, flying to their side, and it's kind of disrespectful in a way. But Jamie, after this Christmas party, when she, wearing this thinking some kind of Christmas costume party, and she's the only one dressed up in kind of like a skimpy-ish outfit, and all because some coworker of hers, giving her the wrong information just to, embarrass her. So she just gets drunk, starts partying and everything like that, So Kristin and Jamie is walking down the block, and they go to the convenience store because she needs some snacks. She's hungry, and Jamie confesses that he's not gonna be with her this Christmas, and he's gonna be with Sophia with her people. And Kristin, feeling the holiday blues, asked the convenience store owner, who I gotta say asked for some champagne. And of course, this is the magical element comes into play because, okay, two things. A, there's certain times I kind of wish, how I put this, there's like a gimmicky, and this is typical in most, Lifetime Hallmark Christmas movies. There's some gimmicky magical element in this where it's like you are just, I guess, trying to teach her a lesson. You can make the argument, but it's just like you're inserting yourself into somebody's problem, which is none of your business, honestly. And you're just like, oh, this person feeling the holiday blues, let me teach her a lesson, insert myself without knowing the freaking context. It was just like, okay, who are you? We just insert yourself like that. And second of all, the holiday getup. This is an Indian man with this crazy holiday getup and the stupid wig and this very, very whitish teeth I ever seen. And it's like he reminds me of the Oompa Loompas from the Tim Burton Willy Wonka films. And this is how, he doesn't have a crazy short height. It's like, it's off-putting in my mind with all that get up. I personally don't feel like you need to, you're leaning way too hard with this whole ensemble. You could just have him dressed normally. I think you'll get a point across. And I have to add this, slight spoilers here. I gotta add this here. He doesn't even circle back around. I mean, I could forgive it where it's just like, because he gives her this magical champagne that she later on drinks, and she ends up waking up in her past, in her old teenage bedroom next to her teenage self, a 17-year-old self. And at no point along the line he doesn't pop, because usually in these kind of things, the person who casts this magic spell pops up at some point to explain the situation and why she's going through all this, and she need to learn this kind of not generic, but this lesson that he can't fully explain. She had to figure out for herself, kind of thing. I could have figured all that because at least you have some kind of rules in place. You just did it. He doesn't show up again. I mean, he gives, the same champagne bottle shows up at the tail end of the film, and she ends up going back into the present. But it's just like he never shows up again. He just like magic the bottle back so she can return back to her own time. But it's just like, okay, like what was the point? You could have taken him out and maybe some other magical, because this is making just a magical force just happen upon her, or at the very least go to a wishing well, because it might as well be the exact same thing because you won't miss anything. It's like she make a wish like, I wish I could change some stuff in my past, and then she wakes up next to her younger self, and then you can achieve the exact same purpose. You didn't really need this guy, and he's completely pointless. He is like 5 minutes of screen time. What a waste. You didn't add nothing. 1 second. Sorry. Sorry. Sorry, friend of mine. Sorry. Very unprofessional. Sorry. Anyway, she woke up next to her 17-year-old self. They both freaking out. And of course, she the younger self threatened to like call the cops, but then she proved that she's her by telling her about all the stuff that she knows that nobody else should know about, like the secret diary about her crush on Bill Clinton, and like she made this kind of funny joke like, just don't intern in Washington D.C., you'll be fine. That'll be that just like hilarious. But then remarked about a scratch or thigh or something like that happened a while back, and all this other stuff. So Christian come to theorize, okay, this is my shot. Like I'm back in the past. I can fix some mistakes and correct certain things. So they pretend to be some type of what do you call those, headhunters, something like that, scouts for these different colleges. And so she's spending like the Christmas holiday with her family, but pretend to be somebody else. And then she sees all her family members she haven't seen in like almost like a decade or so. Judd Nelson plays a father, and Yeah, Barbara is the mom, Glenn father, Debbie the aunt, and Debbie is a little bit the sadder situation because you see Christian freak out and immediately jump and hug her, uh, which was kind of like concerning for everybody. I love the line from her. It's like, oh, do I know you from our college days or something? Like, kind of like, experimental phase. That was funny. But you later find out that she has, was diagnosed with, breast cancer. And this would have been the last Christmas that she spent with the family before she ultimately would have passed away. So of course Christian is like just ecstatic. Of course she doesn't. Here's the thing. Now of course time travel is not exact science. Most people kind of play fast and loose with what the general rules are. I grew up with something like Terminator and Back to the Future, and like the rules, especially Back to the Future, where like Doc Brown kind of set rules that we all kind of like glommed onto for so long until a certain point in like Hot Tub Time Machine and and movies since then, where it's like you don't have to. I for the longest time was on the personal belief that why can't we just, for at least movie terms, because we don't know, because nobody ever time traveled before, but in terms of movie terms, since Doc Brown kind of set the rules, why can't we just stick to that and say like, okay, when you jump back in time, don't give freaking information about present day stuff that, because she's way back in the 90s. This is like 2023. Don't give certain information that they should not know, because it causes ramifications, or at the bare minimum divergent timelines, branching timelines. If you watch Loki series, you know what I'm talking about. Branching up timelines, you can't do that, so keep your mouth shut. It's bad enough that you run into yourself, which in a lot of cases will cause like a some type, I don't know, like dangerous ramifications in terms of implosion or something catastrophic where you just won't exist at all. Maybe, I don't know, sure, but it's very dangerous. So it's like, in my mind, for all the times I grew up watching movies, especially ones about time travel, you don't want to run a risk of running into yourself, or definitely don't touch yourself. And not in a sexual way, I mean like actually physical contact, because I'm thinking about Time Cop and how that, if you remember Time Cop, Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, one of my favorite Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, which I really want to do like a spoiler review on that, at some point, because that is a very good movie. But anyway, it's like, don't touch yourself, or don't like go in contact with yourself, because it's caused like some catastrophic stuff. But it's a Lifetime movie, ain't thinking too deeply on that, but I'm just saying. So she spends all of Christmas Eve, and this is like a long Christmas Eve day here. So she's she meets up with a young Jamie, who Kristen later finds out that, because his family is atheist, but excuse me, he's in like the church choir with her. He has been gone to, he's been accepted to at least 3 different schools, but and then hangs out with her and her family every Christmas Eve. I mean, all the time, but it's like he always spends Christmas Eve and day with the family, because his family doesn't celebrate that. I think like atheists still celebrate the holiday, they just don't believe in God, but I don't know. But it's just that older Christian come to realize how much Jamie care for her that she completely overlooked, all because this dude who's literally named Maverick, this bad boy, he looks like he's just like a mechanic, but he rides like a motorcycle, and she, like, young Kristin is just all over. Literally there's a moment where she literally hopped on top of him, and he, like, hold her in midair and stuff like that, like, and her legs is wrapped around his waist and stuff like that. I was like, wow, they did that in one take or something. Jeez. But older Kristin's trying to warn her, because, like, her family is like, don't like this kid, nobody likes this kid, and he's a total player and everything like that. But young Chris is not listening, and the aunt is trying to, like, even though she knows this dude's a piece of shit, she's trying to be the mediator between her and her mom, because the mom's kind of pushy in a way. But older Christian come to understand that the mom, had, like, she lost her mom at a young age, and the father, she's up, she still hold, like, resentment because her father sold off, the mom's stuff, especially these pearls that she thought was beautiful, that she bought her before for Christmas, that kind of thing. So it leads her to be kind of like a very rigid, hard, I won't say hard nosed. She's, she cares, but she has a this way or the highway kind of attitude. And she knows that this Maverick dude is not a good person, because but Debbie's like, everybody gotta go, all the little girls gotta go through that bad boy phase, because, like, and she's saying, like, dude, I'm trying to help you out, because if you keep pushing her, she's gonna run away with this boy, and you'll never hear from her again. And it's just like, it's just maddening for girls to, like, always, even though there's been many stories and many things older women said about, like, certain boys they wish they haven't messed around with, but it's always because the bad boys have these dark triad traits that are attraction triggers to a lot of women. They're aloof, standoffish, they're kind of dangerous, because they it's a part of it's still part of the whole, it's kind of like the flip side of the protect and provide kind of thing, or at least the protect part, where it's like a guy is meant to protect his woman kind of thing. Now the dark part of that is just like, because, like, he got the appearance, that confidence and the appearance, like, don't F me vibe, because I will stomp your face in vibe. Or he just, because he looked like the kind of guy who puts kids in lockers in his day, but it's just like, like that carnal attraction trigger is like, oh, he's dangerous. I can, like, my lizard brain can register that, oh, this guy can confidently protect me, but sure, but that can also turn on you in a kind of way, because there's a positive way of protecting and there's a bad way of protecting. And more often than not, girls can't tell, won't, in early years, can't tell the difference, and they all go through that kind of thing. They confuse the two. But as a positive way of protecting is just like keeping your girl out of dangerous situations. You don't really need to go about your way to, like, knock somebody out to show off that you can protect somebody. I think Jamie is a perfect example of, in some cases, positive masculinity and protection is just like looking out for her to make sure she's not associated in any type of dangerous, situations. It's not always about just being able to beat up somebody. You know, uh, it's great you can fight, but that should be like the last resort kind of situation. Best thing to do, first thing to do, is just get your woman out of the terrible situation. You don't need to like throw hands every time. But I'm just saying it's not to that extreme, but I'm just ascertaining, young Kristen's looking at this dude and why she's so all over him. It's just those dark triad traits. It's like things that girls just like, young girls fawn all over him. It's a thing. And it's a shame that it's like there's a lesson that every generation constantly has to learn. It's kind of wild to me. It's like, but sometimes humanity has to learn lessons the hard way. But your older Kristin is trying to correct some mistakes. Okay, you have to avoid this dude because he's gonna break your heart. He's gonna lead you, down a crazy path. Not like into drugs or anything like that, but it's like, okay, avoid certain steps. You gotta do this. You gotta do that. Try not to wear too much, like eyeshadow. I like the raccoon eyes. I know you like the raccoon eyes. I like it too, but less is more. And it's kind of like where young Kristin is trying to give her older self some tips, like, okay, why don't you, like, you're 34, like, why don't you lengthen the, how do you stop wearing the mini skirts, because it comes across kind of desperate. So I kind of like that, where it's not just older Kristin trying to pass on some advice to her younger self. Her older self has to come to understand something that she probably forgotten over the years, because she probably got jaded by certain mistakes she made along the way. But in her pursuit and trying to early on show young Kristin that Maverick is a bad dude, gets Jamie to use his hacking skills to and this dude I don't want to say broke into the house, but he climbed into this girl's window to use her computer to message another girl. That's wild to me. And he knows, this kind of guy probably, because all girls are attracted to guys like this. It's just like a thing. And so of course he has no incentive to be any, like, monogamous to one girl, because so many girls flock to this guy, so why would he? So older Kristin got Jamie to hack into his email account to message one of the girls he was just talking to, and had her send like an invite to the house later on. And so later on during dinner, she after this kind of big blow up of a discussion about where she's going to school, because she wants to go to a school in New York, but the family's not paying for her because they rather her to go to a school here in California so that she can be closer to them, obviously. But she wants to, spread her wings and be away and stuff like that, and which is understandable. Like, not many people want to be too close to home, especially given her situation with like the tension between her and her mom that you see throughout this film. It's like she just wanted to get away from it, and you can see why Kristin, older Kristin, stayed away for so many years, because the tumultuous relationship she had with her mom. So then Maverick's side piece shows up at the house. She sees this, she gets upset, and then uh after she and young Kristin and older Kristin have like a talk, they get in an argument where Kristin is trying to, say like, look, I'm sorry, but I need you to learn this lesson early and not later when it's, when, you, because you'll have like a harder heartbreak down the line when he keeps playing you. And I want to make sure that you don't have to go through this. Let it hurt now, right? A little bit now, right? A lot later. She, young Kristin ain't seen that way, and then she throws it in her older, self's face, like I'm not you. I didn't make any mistakes. Allow me. I want to make my own mistakes. Like, you made yours. Let me make mine if I want to, which is fair. Because can you imagine if you meet your younger self in the past and you're trying to correct certain things that, I mean, we all been there. There are certain things I can't stand in certain tropey type of dialogue where some people say like, I have no regrets, kind of situations. Like, you're human. You lived a life. There's been a mistake or two that you probably did not want to go down that route, but it happened. You cannot say like, I have no regrets. That's such cap. It cannot stand lines like that. But there's been many stuff that I wish I can talk to my younger self and say like, okay, you have to do this. You have to do this, have to do this, and have to do this. And ideally, things will shape out with better outcomes than, because you didn't know what you didn't know. And that's why life is about choices. There's certain choices that you made that seemed like the right move at the time. But you will later regret it. But you wouldn't know until you had made the choice. So while the family is going off to midnight mass or whatever, how Catholics celebrate, like they go off to like the choir to hear like the children sing, and they come across young Kristin where she's like upset that Maverick kind of like is is a piece of shit. So they all go off to church. They watch young Kristin and Jamie sing at the choir, and then leaving outside, things really it's all topsy-turvy. This is where I kind of got a little irritated. It's like, why you keep, I think I know why, but you keep going back and forth with this Maverick dude. They should have just left it alone after they picked her up off the road when Maverick and her got into it, and just left it at that. But he shows up in front of the church. She leaves off with them, which is upsets and annoys everybody. Then older Kristin goes on this kind of hilltop or something like that, where young Jamie shows up, knowing that is the same spot that they usually hang out at. And she confesses to him that who she really is and what he'll meant to be, and knows that he has feelings for her, but her younger self has to do this because she's bullheaded. I know I'm bullheaded, kind of thing. She tells this kid what he'll end up being. He'll be successful, but telling exactly what he's gonna. That's so stupid. Don't tell this kid what he's gonna do, because anything could go wrong where he will make certain decisions that needs to be made. But now he's probably second guessing himself, or things can easily go awry if you don't naturally let him make the choices that he needs to make to be successful. And he says to her, which I know is a Lifetime movie, so you can't really have this, but I kind of wish that he actually kisses, actually makes out with older Christian. I don't know why, but kind of wanted that. But she tells him like, oh, well, he tells her that, I will, I don't care how long it will take, I will, wait for you. And it's like, man, that sounds so simpish. It's like, you would, ideally, that sounds romantic. And to a young teenage boy, that sounds like, oh yeah, like I'm feeling this girl, like I'll wait for her kind of thing. We all been there. It's just like, dude, sure, what, you was gonna be like a complete virgin the whole entire time until y'all in y'all 30s and y'all eventually get together? It's like, come on. And he will later grow up to be handsome. So like I highly doubt that he'll just, save himself for Christian until she comes around later on in her year 34. So Christian has to sit down with like the father, mentioning about like, why won't you let her go to the college she wants to go to? And they have this dialogue about, well, like, you went off to the school, like, did your parents help you, or did you made it, or did you do it yourself? And she says like, I made it work. Well, she'll make it work too. But what if she, struggles? Like, then she can easily call us. Well, she's always been my little girl. She can always call me. But she tells him like, well, like maybe she just need to hear that. And it's kind of, she's kind of right, but it's just that when she was going through this timeline the normal way, she didn't think of this, like, you need to hear this. But everybody's bullheaded. Like, the father probably should have explained to his daughter, like, you can always come to me whenever you need me. Like, don't think otherwise, kind of thing. Sometimes kids need to hear verbally a verbal confirmation from their parents that they love them, they always be there for them. Like, until like I'm dead in the dirt, I will always be there for you. They need the children need that, just to have that, to build that security within themselves and confidence in themselves, kind of situation, and form a better relationship between the parents. Then she has a conversation with the mom and the aunt, knowing about the whole cancer and everything like that. Later on, young Kristin comes back, bringing a peace offering of the magical bubbly that she somehow found underneath the tree. And they had a final discussion. And because young Kristin just like, you really think Maverick is such a really a bad idea to be with him? And older Kristin finally relents. It's like, you know what, it doesn't matter what I think. She come to learn a lesson that, despite the mistakes you made, they made you who you are, and you can fight it, or you can learn to accept it and decide to, like, okay, I know now, and I can make the choice now to in my present time, moving forward, to make better choices in my life, rather than trying to reach all the way back to trying to change things, because that'll just be selfish. It's selfish to your younger self, because your younger self has the right to make the choices they want to make. Wherever the outcome comes, that's the outcome that comes. So I guess that's like a good lesson to take. She drinks the magic bubbly. She's back into her present time. She calls Jamie saying she's going back home. She quickly flies, and this drives me crazy when I just do the review of The Holiday, where they just, I don't care, you do well for yourself. You don't just grab a ticket unless you're really, really, really rich. You don't just, go up online like, oh, I think I'm going to London today, and buy a ticket and go right in the next day. And it's like, but of course she, gets like a plane ticket, which I imagine isn't cheap given the fact that she got credit card debt, and flies to LA to meet up with her folks, and she meets up with Jamie, and they establish like a relationship after she comes to the realization of how he really feels about her, that she completely ignored throughout all these years. And so the movie ends with, Kristin finally, do some reconciliation with her mother. So I have fun with this movie. Like I said, there's certain things I kind of wish that, like, the biggest gripe is that whole magical convenience store owner. You take him out, you could change certain things and it would not, ruin the film, honestly, because he doesn't add nothing. At the very least, insert him in the past and saying like, oh, I'm just, here to teach you a lesson, but you got to figure that out for yourself. And then he comes back around giving her the bubbly and saying like, it's time for you to go back. It's only like a one night lesson kind of situation. But no, he was there for 5 lousy minutes. Could have done this whole wishing well. You could have done like a wishing well thing and would have served the same purpose or something, That's all I'm saying. Jamie, I like the character. I think I like the younger character more than the older character, but maybe because we have more screen time with the younger version of him. But he comes across a little simpish here and there. And the whole Maverick thing, it's like, you don't need him keep popping in and out, but I guess that's the whole point, which I'm circling back around now, is things have to play out the way they need to play out. And, you try to force things to change, it just, the universe is trying to just force it back into place where it needs to go naturally. I guess that's how I'm reading it, where it's like you're trying to force Maverick out, but Maverick, despite the shitty thing he'll end up doing, not like he's beating her or anything like that, it's just like he's just a cheater. You're trying to force that away before it's naturally time, but it just forces its way back like a rubber band. And it's like, in a way, you can look at it like that. It's like, things have to progress the way they need to progress in order to make Kristin who she is. And, her to learn a lesson that she need to change stuff in the present time, not in the past. Anyway. Yeah, it was a fun film otherwise. Anyway, that was the last Christmas movie review for the month. I will see you guys later on in the week with a new movie review leading into the new year. I have a lot to go through. There's gonna be regular stuff from January, but getting to like February is gonna be like Black History Month and Valentine's Day themed type of reviews I want to cover. But anywho, take care. I'll see you guys in a little bit for an Aquaman comic book review, Aquaman Rebirth, issues 1 through 15. So stay tuned for that. Then soon after that, I'll be playing a couple of hours of Overwatch 2 with Winter Wonderland theme. But then I'll be taking a couple of days break, and then coming back with more Diablo 4 walkthroughs, things like that. But happy holidays if I don't see you. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. You guys be safe with your family and friends. Drink plenty of spiked eggnog or legal eggnog if you're underage. And just enjoy the holidays. Be well, be safe. Take care.